Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Writer's Desk. Welcome. My name is Jolie Williams, and I'm a poet and a writer. My work tends to explore resilience, cultural inheritance, things of that nature. And so I am a person who believes that art is what is alive, what keeps us flowing. And so you can find that a lot in my writing. A lot of my writing has been published to Stanza Poetry Journal, parentheses, Louder, literary magazine, Sis Stories, was one that was recently published, and I have two books out. Put the phone down, we have a job to do, and I also have a poetry book that I just released, and it's called Even the Spider Keeps Records. And so I'll link that somewhere so that you can read some more of my work. But today I want to share more of my writing process where I find inspiration boards, setting up the scene to write poetry. I like do certain things that really help me hone in on my craft that I've been working on for about 10 years professionally. I've always written as a child, and so it's definitely something that is sort of in my bones and a part of who I am. And so hopefully this can definitely help someone out, whether you're a beginner or an avid writer. I'm going to just share some of my editing tips and how I deal with writer's block as well. So I hope this can inspire someone to write or to start writing or keep. So for me, inspiration is all about tuning inward. Sometimes that means, for me specifically, meditating and reading different types of literature, whether that's scriptural or some sort of celestial body of work. I also love to tap into this higher power or just find a higher frequency that I can tune into to really open up my mind to the different possibilities, I guess you can say, of the larger ideas of the world, right? So for me, I like to listen to binaural frequency music. That really helps me open up my creative spaces, and helps me tune into that higher frequency, that higher power that I am talking about. I'm also a big believer in feeding the imagination and really searching for different sources of inspiration, um, outside sources that are not just internally but externally. I love reading newspapers and diving into different poetry collections, or even just picking up a random book and seeing what lines stick out to me, what is calling to me, what is really catching my attention. And so for right now, I'm reading some more social political books, into Toni Morrison, Zora Neale Hurston, Ada Limon, Nathaniel West as far as fiction goes. And um, I'll share more about that a little later just to get more information on that. Another huge source of inspiration for me is collaging. And collaging is definitely one of those things that helps me pull pieces and images and words together, and that often mirrors how poems arrive. They're fragmented, different little pieces, different thoughts, different ideas that flow, and somehow it comes together in this powerful, meaningful way that really shares our experiences as humans, just observing our surroundings in this universal way, with words, with structure, with scheme. Sometimes I also like to do blackout poetry. That's really fun for me, where I take newspaper or magazines or old books that I'm not reading anymore, And I'll just take my little marker and black out the words that are wanting to be blacked out, I guess you can say, um, until sort of like this hidden message emerges. To me, that feels like a cosmic message, both for the writer and the poem itself. And so, for me, another source of inspiration is mood boards. And I think mood boards aren't just for fashion and aren't just those things, right? For me, I like to select different words, select different themes, select different ideas, and sort of put it on my mood board for a specific poem and really try to get out all the details that I'm trying to share in the poem, things that I'm trying to reference. I really, really enjoy creating boards filled with different textures or colors or faces or even just quotes that reflect the sort of mood that I'm in and that the mood that I want to portray in the poem as well. So it's like building a visual map for the poem or story. Sometimes my mood board is physical with cutout or collages, and other days I'll create a digital mood board where I'll go on something like Pinterest and just sort of add different things in there, images, song snippets, or screenshots of lines that spark some ideas in me. So editing is really where the magic, I can say, takes shape in the poem. I remember during my college years, I was studying creative writing and literature, Brooklyn College, and it was really difficult for me to get into the whole punctuality just because there were so many different rules, and it was really hard for me to study someone else's poem and really break it down and dissect it, especially if it was somebody I couldn't speak to directly because I wanted it from their mouth what the poem was about. But it wasn't the funnest thing to do, but having that knowledge and that experience, I do appreciate it. And so here are some of the tips that I try to stick by to really not get upset about writing poetry, right? Because sometimes it's just not going the way you want. But if we take our time, if we remember these different tips, for me, that's what works. So I like to pay attention to grammar, but not really as rules to trap you, but more as tools to sharpen your meaning. Before I start editing, I really like to brainstorm specific words that I want to use, and I'll write them down and see if they belong in the piece. I love diving into the dictionary and thesauruses and really looking for synonyms and even etymologies to words, the definition of words, and the different ways in which people can use them, right? Because throughout time, a word can mean one thing, and later on, it'll signify an entirely different thing. So, looking up a single word can unlock such deep layers of meaning and feelings and help me choose the specific words that I want to use with more intention. I think words carry history, words carry connotation and signals that shape the mood of the whole poem. So it's really important for me and as writers to really dive deep into the structures, sounds, meanings of words, to help communicate better what we're trying to say. So another tip is reading your work aloud. It's essential. You have to hear the rhythm, the words, how they sound together, and catch moments that might just not flow. Writer's block. No one likes to deal with writer's block, but it's real, it happens. Sometimes the best resolution is just to not fight it. I learned that every day carries its own frequencies. Some days are writing days, and some days just aren't writing days, and that's okay. And instead of forcing it, I think it's best to just let it be. Maybe that means going outside, reading, collaging, or just resting. Really important for me on those writer block days. Sometimes your brain just has so many thoughts that you just gotta stop and do nothing. Science and spirituality both speak to this, whether through neurology, astrology, or energy, whether you believe in those things or not. I feel like each day brings its own essence, and if you pay attention, you'll notice seeing that there's a rhythm, and that this rhythm is a part of the creative process is detrimental to my writing. And on those really rough days, I'll just do a bit of journaling to deal with any thoughts that may be lingering in my mind, getting all the thoughts out. And even if that means writing a 5 minute poem, it's really important to get all my thoughts out so that I'm not overwhelmed. I'm big on lists. I'm big on writing down my ideas right on the spot so that they're out of the way and into a space where I can come back to later. I like highlighting using note tabs and post-its to sort of keep everything organized and to not overflowing feeling of duty when it comes to writing and sharing my work. So that is a glimpse into my creative process, from inspiration and mood boards to editing tips and how I navigate writer's block. I'd love to know what inspires you as a writer. Drop it down in the comments so we can start a conversation. And if you'd like to read more of my poetry and writing, check out the links in the description below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos on poetry, creativity, and the art of writing. I'm also trying to do this daily poetry thing on Instagram, so let me know if you like that or what you think about that. Thanks for watching, and remember, every day has its own frequencies. Let the words find you, and when you're ready, they'll be ready. I'll be here at the writer's desk. Till next time.